Can I ask you to move a little bit this way, please? That's great, thank you.
Can you rack it up, brother?
Hi, I'm Freddie. I am the head gardener, and the secret garden party is all my fault.
Crazy ass motherfuckers.
This must be the sign of the times.
Hot housing of creative minds and wreckheads together.
One of those places that everybody looked forward to the whole year.
Secret Garden was always never really about the bands or the headliners. It was always about the fact that it's a party.
Love in the garden now.
Being able to bare your chest and run wild.
This must be the sign of the times.
Celebrating your uniqueness and your insanity.
And it kind of goes from really sort of slick and everyone looks great on Friday, but by Sunday, people are literally gaffer taping a wig back onto their head.
I was struck by the vibrancy and kind of new frontier of the whole place.
You know, it was like a free party, but it was a festival. There were rules, but there weren't rules. All good things must come to an end.
It went from a baby to a city.
Such a beautiful piece of land. Don't want to cast scorn on the local landscape, but it comes as a sort of surprise because you're so aware of farming as an industry around here, and then in the middle of it, there's this magic little paradise that people can turn up and ruin over a weekend.
The thing with festivals is like you work on them all year and then they only exist for 3 days.
We've got a medium-sized town here.
Festival builds a city, a brigadoon, that pops up and disappears after 4 days.
It's the land more than anything. You come here and you just get that magic feeling, you know.
There were 300 people in the first year. You couldn't have imagined that it would grow to this.
You go in and you can be a plumber, an accountant, whatever, and you come out as, you know, Queen of Swords or, you know, whoever you fucking want to be.
And that ability to inspire people to go and make their own fun, that has become what people expect.
I suppose everyone who's into this scene in one form or another can pinpoint that first moment they came across that part of the counterculture that really opened their eyes, blew their hair back. For me, it was the late end of the raves.
Often overlooked is the role that anarchic, travelling, free festivals played in the development of that culture, you know.
50 people have been arrested and the police helicopter fired at with flares. The travellers say they won't be moving on for a few days, and tonight the festival still appears to be in full swing.
We were in all the papers, you know, we were called like the public enemy #1, you know, we had like police and helicopters following us everywhere. Secret Garden was really different in the sense that it kind of somehow managed to put a lot of that kind of crazy diverse stuff into a slightly more commercial, in serious inverted commas, setting, you know, and for kind of another generation, actually.
How did it start?
Kind of by accident, I suppose.
So,
I don't know your excuse, but I literally had no other option for a decent job or, you know, street cred.
We wanted to do a party. We thought we would probably be quite good at it.
We'd had the idea of what we thought made a good party, which was all the idea of the toys and the involvement.
The influence is an emphasis on participation that didn't really exist in the UK much in festival culture until Secret Garden Party really took it to the next level, where they basically said to everyone, like, don't come if you're not going to get involved.
It's about time and place, the opportunity to be something different that exists only here and now, and that's it.
If you have a really great time and you're colourful and you feel that you're part of the reason it was a great party, then those are the ones that you'll remember all your life.
Hara Hara Jaya Shiva Shankara Bum Bum.
There's a moment when, however delinquent you are, you finally realise that your parents are actually farmers.
We have here John and Alison.
Hi, do we have anywhere around us that we could do this kind of shit crazy scene? Let's wax earplugs. I hope. Or suppositories. I was like, well, there's the field around the end of the lake. Shut the fucking front door.
Fred took me down to the field and he said, this is a beautiful field. And I said, as a farmer, it's not a very good field, actually. And he said, no, you're looking at it all wrong. It's beautiful. Look at the lake, the trees, all the rest of it. This would be a great place for a musical event. Now, I knew we were not talking about choirs and orchestras.
He did tell me that he was somewhat trepidatious to be doing that.
No shit.
And it was such a good opportunity. So we decided to do our own party. It's a pain in the ass trying to think up of a name for an event. Anyone who's ever tried to start a rock band or do the, tell you the same thing. Listening to Radio 4, children's, story time came on, and Secret Garden Party.
Am I talking to camera or to you? Just to me. Okay, my name's Eddie Temple-Morris. I'm a DJ producer, and my proudest title is Patron Saint of the Secret Garden Party. Freddie approached me through the XFM website and said that they loved my show, that I'd be perfect for this party that they were throwing. And I thought it looked and sounded fantastic. So I said, yeah, where do I sign? I'm in.
So Julie did that. About 700 people turned up. And a lot of our friends who went there loved the vibe of the party, loved the freedom of what you could do, and, the general style and the culture around it.
Try to set up a bit might be good. I think we've got a bit of a tendency to hunch.
I'm Ned. I'm Math from The Egg. I'm from The Egg as well. We're live electronic dance music stuff, and we've been playing Secret Garden since the beginning. Yeah, we had a friend Grantley said, these people, they want to do the best party in the world ever, and they want you to play. And we're like, OK, great. And it's all really funny and ridiculous and eccentric and diddly silly.
It was the start of something really, really special.
We're always talking to her.
Not the giant cock behind you. We moved here nearly 20 years ago. Everyone knows everyone. My husband's on the parish council, and suddenly a party arrives and, we don't want them, think of the traffic, think of the noise, and they're not even local, and what do we get out of it? And I don't want my children going because that'd be awful. And then you see these children who snuck in at the beginning.
Back in those days,
I had no money.
I didn't have a ticket.
So I looked for ways to get in.
We'd already invented the game of trying to find someone that had actually bought a ticket.
I've been there when the kids are kind of drunken and dishevelled behind the toilets going, oh gosh.
I'm Pete Loveday.
And what is Pete Loveday?
Probably someone who's been with this festival for 13 years doing artwork for them.
How did you get involved?
Just a phone call out of nowhere, and it was Freddie, because he'd read the Russell comics and come down to check it out and see whether I fancied doing artwork for it. He'd found a few images there that probably made him think that I might know what a festival was about.
And what did you think?
Well, I thought it was very small, and it was very sweet. Well, one stage
by the lake, which is now where the Wild Things are staged.
And the pagoda, sort of in use for DJs.
The dance area was a tree house.
The magic boots. Do you remember the magic boots?
Or the fuck yeah bar with the cars outside the front, people pushed into the lake. It was the definition of just fucking reckless abandon.
I was born with a boom bap.
Yeah, it was great.
We rocked up, and the moment we started, it was just one enormous fiesta.
First time I went to SGP, I must have been dressed as a cow.
Then shit got really out of hand for 5 years.
Well, I can't remember the 14th, the second one, but I certainly can remember the 13th one.
Why was that particularly memorable?
I went down the rabbit hole. And then I came out and I was in a puddle of mud with lots of pretty girls and with this really wicked little sound system that somebody had made out of bits. And we were in a tent that was literally just kind of half fallen down, but we were dry and we were warm and we were in this little space, and this is the secret garden.
It was incredibly difficult not to let your hair down.
We've gone from literally 3 muddy stages to this.
My sister, Fred's mum, was slightly tearing her hair out because each year the festival had got bigger and better and the loss had got bigger and better every year. They were very casual about, receipts.
I think we started getting it quite well developed in 2005, which is, I think, also when we started noticing the sort of quite parabolic increase in our attendees. And then 2006 got very popular. We got very lucky with a couple of bookings.
2006 was like, we'd booked by accident. Well, not by accident. She was brilliant, Lily Allen.
Go well today?
Went really, really well. I didn't think it was going to go very well because it was raining and there were no people out to the front of the stage, and then suddenly there were.
We had people turning up with picnic chairs and they'd printed out the programme.
They wanted to know where the information booth was, and we were just like...
And the best complaint letter we had in the early years was someone who thought they'd found the information booth. They got handcuffed to each other and then pointed to 500 keys hanging from fishing and told one of these keys is going to set you free.
Everyone harks back to the good old days. The good old days, my days, my days. When I was coming up, oh, it was magic, wasn't it? Magical time, magical time.
I told my friends I was going to Secret Garden, they all kind of laughed at me. They were like, are you going to that posh kids party?
Back in the day, it was seen as a posh party because people wore £60 animal hats and drank Pimm's.
I actually ended up doing my 40th birthday party there. So I had like 150 people all turned up.
Amazing.
Everybody like in pure white.
And yeah, it was quite polite, wasn't it?
And it was that moment, I was like, are we running a festival now?
Fred called me and he said, I would like to talk to you about some festival. I said to Fred, listen, I'm going to come with Desmond and let's see what happens.
Are you ready to sing?
And when we walk out on stage, it was in the thousands. I went, oh my God, Secret Garden Party is born.
And And suddenly the Time Out was going, they're the best festival ever.
Honestly, I mean, Saturday night, it really was as if everyone was, you know, high up on one thing or another with a glow stick sticking out of their nostrils, running around like blue-ass flies.
Been to Glastonbury fairly regularly. We didn't go to Burning Man until summer of 2006.
If we're being honest, Secret Garden Party borrowed a lot from Burning Man.
Which is like an art festival, like everyone's doing something, providing something, dressing up and making just anything to get people to interact.
It's still one of the best parties I've ever been to because the people you'll meet, things to do and interact with, the creativity and the capability that's brought to it is just jaw-dropping.
Realise that actually it is okay to be this fucking indulgently bonkers in the whimsical.
But Burning Man, it's a little bit po-faced and they take it really seriously, whereas here it was just all about fun.
Action!
Can we do it again? That was fucking shit.
The level of dedication to nonsense was unparalleled in any of the other festivals. Even Glastonbury, to a certain extent, they took the most bizarre and weird parts of Glastonbury and just went, pew! This is the raw bones of the nonsense, and we're going to give it to you here in one place.
I made an agreement with Secret Garden that I would come here and make something amazing. I believe it was like, I promised a spontaneous miracle. Nice to have your own phone line here, and the landline too. Mom?
You've reached a number that has been disconnected.
I was taken to a barn where almost all of that stuff was found. I mean, this is quality goods. It's all those cans I brought with me from the last festival in Ireland. I had a huge bag. I was like loitering in, you know, kind of customs, like, somebody please ask me what's in this huge bag. I was like, no, you know, looking suspicious, nothing. They didn't want any bit, they didn't care. I wanted to like open it up and go, ha ha! Have you ever seen that before? Nothing. And some of the people were looking at me kind of like, you're such a dick.
In this screwed up, over health and safety-ized, very controlled English, stiff upper lip culture, Secret Garden proves that, you know, we can have the same vibes as a favela in Brazil, at least for a few days anyway, you know what I mean?
When I first joined Secret Garden Party, it was...
Shambles?
It was the biggest circus I've ever seen. I thought everyone was going to die. And people would just come into the office going, I'm just going to Suicide Olympics. Where's the Suicide Olympics?
Are they literally Suicide Olympics?
Pretty much. It was a wheelchair at the top of a hill and they used to just push people down it.
So, I mean, I remember the first year of watching someone in the wheelchair going down the hill.
It was the tractor tyre. That one went all the way down the hill
Into the lake.
with a guy in it into the lake, and then he didn't come out for ages. Like, where's the guy gone?
Well, I think as long as they don't drain the lake.
We were willing to give anyone a chance who had a crazy enough idea that sounded like we could execute it, and then develop them and help them along the way on that.
So I used to do this thing where I would forward a load of doctors' prescriptions, dress up as a doctor and break into festivals, and on Sunday I'd walk around writing people off sick so they could stay out and party more. And I was sitting with these people drinking their champagne. There was someone there who was chatting, and he was, you know what? I thought he was being a little bit cocky, so I quietly wrote him out a prescription describing him with cock throat. And explaining to drain in a little bit, or his jowls would start to sink down into a Talkman scrotum and a cock would grow out of his mouth. And he looked at it for a little bit, and he just went, are they paying you to be here? I was like, no, I jumped in the fence like always. And he went, this is our festival. And he said, okay, come next time and bring some people and do something.
You've talked about Vito, haven't you?
Yeah, if you got a few words to say.
What? You ask me who I am?
Vito was ridiculous.
Beautifully, happily, joyfully visible at all times.
He'd say goodbye to you, he'd say, oh, I'll see you in my dreams, or something stupid, and then he'd suddenly disappear, and literally 10, 15 minutes later, he'd come back, and he was in a completely different costume, a different makeup even, and he'd gone back to his little hole where he did these magical things. And he'd just get... And the whole reason for it was just to make you gasp.
I think he was particularly proud of being able to have coined this as a serious party.
And walked around with his sign on it on. He got on stage a few times to dance with us.
I mean, I don't remember the first time. It was sort of, it's one of those things we just always seemed to be around at the garden party. By the time he'd got his iconic sign, we'd met.
I invited him to compare for Artful Badger. He's an incredible compare and an incredible energy.
I got him to do the Oh How Lucky You Are business from Dr. Zeus to open the rabbit hole.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the Cat in the Hat.
And he did the entire thing.
No.
Verbatim.
Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away.
Got it completely right, I think.
You have brains in your hand. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any which direction you choose.
We were all going a bit like, can we get on with it? Can we get on with this? We want to hear the band now.
Oh, all the places you'll go. You'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers who soar to high heights. Yeah!
In 2007, me and a guy called Dickie Cohen did mud wrestling at Glastonbury, and it went down really well. We got some Barbie dolls.
It's not Barbie dolls, but they were like Cabbage Patch. No, they were like sort of ugly little, like something between My Little Pony and a Barbie doll. I can't remember where. I don't know where we got them from.
We put them in a bowl full of mud and had them wrestling. We had like weird legs and arms sticking out, and then one arm was holding a proposal.
And we put it in a box.
And then we just sent that to Secret Garden Party HQ. We didn't want any money at all. We just wanted 5 tickets, and we'd do everything ourselves. So in 2007, me and Dickie hand dug a mud pit. It took us 3 days to dig, and then we just stood around it with megaphones, getting people to wrestle.
The mud pit was just like a continued success, and everyone, loads of people got in it. But of course, we didn't have a lid, so loads of people slept in it, like cuddled in it, pissed in it. I mean, all sorts. Like, people were passed out in it while someone else was pissing in it. At like 2 o'clock in the morning, I was just like, I am not getting involved in this.
I remember one year I got about 25 people in, and I thought this had the potential to get quite sexy. But then there was just a few guys just writhing around and just started almost fucking each other in the mud. And it escalated really quickly.
And that was the start of the Coliseum. 10 years later, it's this massive 2,000 capacity venue. And we have a strong belief that we're not the headliners, it's the crowd. So we play ridiculous games, wax on, wax off, where you're on the aerial truss and you're ripping off hair with wax strips.
We had a new game called Whose Uranus Is This Anyway? 4 bums, 4 girls guessing the boyfriend's bum.
She's very sure it's his bottom, but she's not sure about the ball.
This girl, beautiful, she decided that she definitely knew it was her boyfriend's bum, and instead of like just kissing it, she licked the bum right in the middle.
Full crack.
Full crack. Whoa, that was daring. Well done.
But at least it's your boyfriend.
At least it's your boyfriend. She picked it wrong.
How do you circumvent health and safety?
Yeah, you don't circumvent health and safety.
When you're creating things like this in the sort of space that we're talking about, we kind of hope people subscribe to the danger aspect.
What was the guy's name in health and safety?
He's asked not to be named and remained anonymous.
Truth be told, a lot of the crazies I saw running around, they were pretty aware of how insane this place was. It's this safety third thing. First, have fun. Second, have more fun. And then think, is this dangerous?
Even if someone did come out with no leg, it was just like, hey, I'm scarred my leg for life, but it's fine. Not that I think that's a good thing. And now we're much more professional, of course. We're much more professional.
It always helps if it looks like you've completely thrown the rule book away, because the public love that. But you know, at the end of the day, they're our guests. We need to look after them and send them home in one piece.
The model that all those guys came up with was that they got all these micro venues together. Each one of those micro venues was run by a really cool posse. They all came together, and each one of those little crews pulled like a mule.
There's things, there's the action camps, there's the physics camps, there's the political things, there's lots of discussions about stuff.
Me and Jim were like obsessed with 9/11 conspiracy theories, so we were like, hey, let's do a conspiracy camp. So then we invited all these David Icks and journalists and ex-MI5 agents and all these weirdos and conspiracy theorists into this tent, which was decked out like the war room in Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove.
Once the foundation perception of reality is flawed, everything that comes from that must by definition be flawed.
The idea of bringing serious academics and professors and serious people into this environment where everyone's like naked and on drugs and it's all crazy and hectic and hedonistic, they really appealed to me.
Is that a cucumber? That's a cucumber. Cucumber. E.T. phone homo.
When it comes to like representing LGBT plus communities at festivals, like it's actually really poor. Glastonbury's championed that with like Block 9 Festival. I've done some good stuff as well, but like Secret Garden Party was always a very open, friendly festival, so I think lots of gay people used to gravitate there. We were originally asked to do a tent, the kind of ceremony and celebration of coming out. Someone sent us 1,000 bottles of poppers, so Poppers actually sponsored the first gay bar. It meant that our tent was really busy. It's sweaty, it's amazing, it smells of mud and all the sweat and human bodies, and then all of the kind of chemicals which are coming out of everyone's pores. It's a little like a chemical toilet, but like kind of sexier. And it just turns into this dirty, amazing little rave that just never seems to sort of stop. One guy, he sort of grabbed the microphone. He was like super nervous. We stopped the music and he came out and he started crying. His friends started crying. I started crying, and then the whole tent was just like weeping for this guy, and his friends were celebrating him, and they were like, oh my God, we never knew. And I was like, yeah, and you look at him and he's covered in glitter, and I was like, how do you not know? Having that place where people can be celebrated and people can be who they want to be and be empowered for that is always what we've stood for.
Come inside my bar, it will change your life and the size of your anus.
Things like introducing drug testing. First festival to do that.
I'm Henry Fisher. I'm one of the testers for The Loop. We provide advice on drug use and sexual health for people at festivals and other events. Last year was the first year when we were able to actually provide multi-agency safety testing. So that's where people can come and bring a little scoop of powder or a bit of a pill, or ideally a whole pill. We then find out what's in the sample. We can tell them how strong it is.
So you're not telling people not to take drugs?
We neither condone or condemn drug use. We know it's going to happen. So what we're trying to do is just make sure that they don't end up in the welfare tent or worse, in hospital.
That was a great thing to be a part of, and certainly something that, you know, it helps if you're independent to be able to make that move.
Are people who come to you suspicious?
They were suspicious at first because it was such a new thing. Now there's a bit more publicity, people have heard us a bit more, it's been really popular.
We wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of our local police force, who were awesome in their response. It's something we'd been talking to them about for a couple of years, and I know when it first got mentioned, it was a very uncomfortable concept. The reasoning they went through was very interesting. Their primary directive is the prevention of harm. Their secondary directive is the persecution of criminality. Once you've entered into the event and you've gone through the searches and all that security, the option for that second directive has gone if you are going to be able to effectively discharge your primary directive of reducing harm. And this is not an opportunity to persecute petty civil disobedience.
So far, how's the quality of the drugs been?
It's been really variable, and it always is. We've had a few very strong pills so far, which is as much of a worry as well. We're telling people to take a quarter, but then we've had some really awful things. I think we had some plaster of Paris handed to us yesterday that someone was sold on site as MDMA.
Prohibition has been doing more harm than drugs since, whatever it is, 1963. If drugs are, have a dangerous side, they should be controlled and be able to at least used if they're going to be used in a safe way.
A word on balloons.
That omnipotent sound.
So laughing gas, nitrous oxide, occurred through this period, and suddenly everybody was doing it. I remember getting there for the Monday. No, I was there from Sunday. I can't remember. I think I arrived with ants, and there's a big, huge tube of it, and I had some, and I blacked out and fell over, hit my head on this picnic table, and I went to hospital. And I think we played at Festival on the main stage a couple of weeks later, and I went on stage and said, "Laughing gas, right? It's not that funny." It's no laughing matter. No.
When it first appeared on the scene, one of our crew started off with a gas bar.
Yeah, I think you got mentioned in the same sentence as laughing gas.
Never.
There you go. Yes. But I did hear it from you.
I think the people running it made a very, very nice little voluntary.
I had a girlfriend who did a nitrous oxide stall at the garden party, and so we organised a big tank. It was just totally fucking ridiculous. I mean, there's people sort of burning their mouths on it. There's people sort of literally just falling over.
We had to confiscate it because people were still squabbling over it. Hippie fucking crack.
Now the new psychoactive substances laws come in, we have gone to it now being the preferred drug for sale by organised criminal gangs at festivals. Now, if you think about the upswing on that and the consequences of getting caught of it, it is not really a big win in that area for that law, especially not for us at the bloody edge of this.
Are we not here to talk about music?
I'm Lissy. This is like the coolest place we've ever been, I think. Yeah.
The new music that's come through the festival, where you think that where the Wild Things are, it's just a very small stage kind of built into a tree. And the artists we've had come through that, from Florence and the Machine and the XX and Lily Allen's and Daughter and all these kind of acts. As time gone on, they've then kind of upgraded to the main stage. Crystal Fighters were one of our headliners this year on the final year. They came to the festival as punters, and it inspired them to start the band in the first place. That, I think, is part of what's important with Secret Garden Party. That it's inspired not just us and punters, but inspired the artists as well.
All of the acts that were booked into the garden party understood the ethos of the show. You can play, and we can't pay you loads of money because we haven't got it, because we spent it all on fluff and bunting. And when you finish playing, get in the party with everyone else. DJs who are used to getting paid 6 figures for a set would come and play for free. That's how we managed to bag all the early headliners.
DJs love playing at the Coliseum. We've had Disclosure, Subfocus, Jason Status, Ronnie Size, all the Hospital Records guys, and a whole range of like massive DJs. And these guys came over from America and came backstage, and me, Dickie and Frodo and Timmy were like, "So man, what are you doing now?" He's, "Oh man, you know, I just want to go back to the hotel, you know." And we were like, "No, you're not. You're gonna come back to the sweaty lingerie party, and you're just gonna take off your trousers and like wander around in your pants." And he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do that."
There wasn't any pandering. Grace Jones, you know, exception. She was a bloody nightmare.
She wanted to have a scissor lift that kind of brought her up. But the people in charge of doing that before, perhaps they didn't have the ability to organise something like that. So it pretty much was one of our stage crew with Grace Jones on her shoulders, and he just kind of went like this.
You never go to garden party because of the band lineup. Sorry, James Brennan, you wouldn't. But like you'd go to garden party for so much more.
Tell us about that complaint email that you got from somebody.
I love it. You make it sound like there's just been one in 15 years. We get, you know, depending on the year, you get one or two. If it's been a very good year, you normally get one. A very wet year, you can get a lot more. Last year's, we had a brilliant year last year, and it was the only real letter of complaint. Her major beef was she's promised secret places and she couldn't find them.
Well, sorry for that, but you missed this secret and this secret and this secret and this secret, and that you didn't find them. It's not really our fault.
Well, that's the thing about the secret garden parties, that they're little secret things that actually, for me, make the festival so wonderful.
That's an empathy. That's good.
We did the Doghouse. It's just a little place where we just play filthy, dirty, funky dance music.
I seem to remember that time when we lost the power.
Yeah, so after the power went down, we were following the blue power cable, pulling it out of the mud, trying to figure out where it had gone. And I went inside the tent, so I kind of unzipped it and went in. And as I walked in, there's 200 naked people having a massive rave. I didn't even know we were next to a sort of secret naked rave tent.
One of my favourite things doing was the sunflower field. Fred built a field of sunflowers and then put a row of toilets against one side with the back cut out of a toilet.
You walk through and then into the sunflower field.
We didn't tell her that the sunflowers were in the secret places because they had been a bit mean.
Could you state your real name?
My name's Ian Duff.
What you do here?
I run the secret bar.
I first met Ian in 2006, and Ian was sort of kind of ricocheting behind the bar. And he asked me, "What day is it?" When it's Friday morning. And Duff went, "Fuck, I've been away for 4 days, I've got to bed." I literally just disappeared off to bed.
Right, and how many years have you been doing secret bar?
I can't actually remember how many years. It's all kind of merged into one. We set up a bar where we gave all the booze away for free if people could find it.
Yeah, how did he ever run that bar? Who's paying for all the booze?
We hid the bar in various places throughout the site. And then if people found the bar, they could have a free drink. Open to anyone as long as you can find it.
I mean, the first few years we were right next to Duff's bar. Everybody just sort of went from Duff's to get refreshed and relax for a little bit, and then come to ours for a quick hour on the dance floor, and then back to Duff's again.
As people got to know about it, they tended to take the piss. So we changed it a little bit to make it a little bit more participatory, where the drinks are free if you're willing to form one of several silly bad ideas that we come up with. This year we've got bartender haircut, topless electric fence limbo. We tend to make the people who don't join in pay.
Right, yeah.
So that's how we kind of make the ends meet on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
But we never really make ends meet.
I remember actually going to, was it last year or the year before? I'd gone to see Air on the main stage, and all these girls were dancing around me, kind of going, oh my God, it's like I'm orgasming, it's amazing. And who said that? You did? No, not me, but some of the girls I know were like dancing to the music. It's like, oh man, I'm just having this orgasm. So, and then afterwards.
Well, they said that?
Yeah, they said that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we went backstage and I met the drummer and I said, so what's it like playing drums in Air? And he said, well, they told me to play like I'm making love to a beautiful woman, but you're never actually coming. And isn't that funny that the girls all actually felt the same vibe from him? Easy. Anyway, we took him to Dust Bar and got him completely twatted.
Sorry about that, just fucking break the strings. I like breaking strings, it's fun. I'll see you later. Glad you let me put this on paper. You peek through my soul and smoke. It creeps and I go, thought it, Mr. Black Thumb, who plays the upstrum. He is Wilson, bashed up the big drum. He's flaking, alienating, and taking commiserating. Lay me down, play in the cloud, 'cause I'm not crazy on my own. I walk around, back and forth, I look up, down, south and north. A ring-a-ding-ding phone makes me shiver. I exercise my face in the mirror. Lay me down, play in the cloud, 'cause I'm not Does anyone know where the Artful Badger tent is? Badger!
When Garden Party started, it was truly counterculture.
Garden Party was reacting to something that wasn't there and wasn't being fed.
Suddenly, the festival has become incredibly mainstream.
There need to be festivals that have their independence. And when you have your independence, there's a bit of a trade-off. You have to do a dance with law enforcement and local authorities. At the same time, it also means that you're not swallowing corporate cock. People are not trying to shaft something really horrible and big and unappetizing down your gullet. And that is important because you will have all the strings associated with sponsorship. They're nasty.
We went to New York and it was the Woodstock Reunion Festival. Big corporate Love and Peace pizzas and Pepsi logos and everything everywhere. But these coloured topless guys on stage with oil saying, let's see how much love there is at Woodstock, man. And Woodstock money, which people ran out of. And people broke the fences down.
Commercialism, that's what some people say led to the fall of Woodstock '99.
Garden Party's always been that kind of fuck you to that corporate scene. We're doing it for us, we're not doing it to earn money because, like, who the fuck earned money out of Secret Garden Party? Like, definitely not any of us.
SGP started organically, so it requires a lot of interaction and, you know, buy-in from people. If you go out to try and invent and create a massive countercultural significant thing, you're going to end up with probably something very different.
Let's check the mic to see is it still on?
Oh, no, it's testing. Yeah.
I'll hear the sound man to see if it's...
Yeah, it's stopped.
Wow. Ah, what's that? We've got... This is the H6. It's much more superior than the original Zoom. There we go. Secret Garden Party's contribution to festival culture.
So there was a review in like Mixmag or D-Day or one of those things. It was actually a review of V Festival. It was this whole column, and it was just like, and this band, 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 and you know, all the stuff. And then the last sentence was, but of course all the cool kids were at Secret Garden Party.
We needed to really identify ourselves as a bit different, and we did that wholeheartedly with the sort of idea that you either think we're a bunch of wankers or you think that looks cool. We didn't really want a reaction anywhere in between.
My greatest moment was the year that I realized it wasn't a secret anymore. I was on the top of the Ferris wheel, looking out across this incredible canopy of stars below me. And I cried, you know, at that moment. It was just so emotional.
The first time I went, I thought, hello. It's not a secret, it's massive. And I know exactly where it is. So it's not a Secret Garden Party at all. It's a massive sore thumb in the middle of Cambridgeshire. With planes flying overhead and like really loud music and queues for miles and all the Tesco's completely empty of beer. You know, it's not a secret.
I got a text message saying, is it okay Prince William's coming to the garden party? He's going to camp in the garden.
Harry.
Prince Harry. Thank you. No, it's not okay to put the Prince of the Realm in our garden when we like have no VIP area. This is supposed to be, you know, one tier shit. And Daisy, you actually phoned me up and went, that's really not cool. Like he doesn't get, you know, what else does he get to do?
Okay, you can come, but you're not having a free ticket.
Well, if he plays the same game as everyone else, if we book 4 or 5 lookalikes of Prince Harry, then not only does he get a chance of a bit of anonymity, we have plausible deniability the whole fucking way.
And telling their private security that there's loads of lookalikes on site was probably one of the funniest moments of my life.
When I was introducing Jarvis Cocker, we had this pact that Jarvis Cocker would come to the microphone. As he hit the microphone, Captain America and I would go boom, stage dive off the stage onto the crowd. What could possibly go wrong? So I tell Jarvis Cocker the plan. He goes, brilliant, do you want a chocolate? So we all had a chocolate, and then Jarvis Cocker comes to the microphone, and I'm looking at my receivers, thinking, like eyeballing them to going, I'm coming, oh, I'm coming. I had a few seconds in which to just sort of translate to them the fact that I was about to throw myself onto them. And I sort of got a few positives and a few confused looks, but I just went for it anyway because the moment was there. So I just launched myself up, and they literally, it was like the Red Sea, parted and just went like cartoon. And I went, and I collapsed, almost breaking my back on one woman in about her 60s, at tie-dye, she just turns to me and she goes, "Oh my God, you're lucky you didn't kill yourself. I can't believe the youngsters these days. They've got no festival etiquette at all, have they?" So she saved me.
Morning guys, so it's now day 2 of Secret Garden Party. Today I've got these amazing trousers on from Penny Drop. I've got a mesh bodysuit, some nipple stickers and little mushrooms.
The kids came up and they bought their outfit at Topshop. Sure. We got it from charity shops and stapled it together and painted it blue and then just tipped buckets of glitter in our faces and rolled around getting herpes. But at least there was some, you know, there was a level of inventiveness.
We've worked very hard to get something that we really understood what we wanted as a bunch of people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of voyeurs here, not partakers, who are kind of just here to watch us. It's like, no, fuck off. I don't want you to watch me. I want you to be with me.
And I think it's gone through lots of kind of waves, really. I think the rain and the mud helped with the phases because the weather would be shit all weekend, and all the kind of part-time partygoers would be like, "Oh no, I've got my mud in my furry boots."
Last night it rained a lot, and I mean a lot. Music was like pumping all night as well. It was ridiculous.
Gangs of pissed up blokes wandering around getting a bit rowdy and a bit, you know, not really in the spirit of things. Then word would get out that year had been brilliant, and the next year a load of arseholes would turn up again.
When all the Joshuas and Tiffany's, you know, disconced themselves upon the greenery, sipping away the Bucks fizz as the sky turned from blue to pink. And then next thing you know, it's dubstep, and a man with neck tattoos has a football shirt he's holding above his head like that and walking with his shoulders kind of moving back and forward like this as his mate throws a cider bottle in a lake. Like, yeah, okay, what do I think about this? You know, yeah, the Joshuas and Tiffany's sipping Sancerre upon the green. They were twats, but at least they were polite.
The only one thing that never changes is that everything changes, and the reality is, if you don't accept that, things can go wrong.
Any horror stories?
Absolutely not.
I remember we had one girl who was working on our crew. She was tripping on acid, and she'd found a security guard's radio, and she was shoving it up her vagina, shouting, "Fuck me now, fuck me now!" And all of our crew was like, "Whoa! Ah, what do we do with you?" And like the security guard was like, "Can I have my radio?" Actually, maybe keep the radio, you know?
One of the wet years. Does everyone have stories about the wet years? Is that everyone? Oh God! Oh, better be good then.
The mud was pretty crazy a few years ago, really nuts, and it was the worst I've ever seen. Didn't the pagoda stage sink?
Did it?
Well, yeah.
The pagoda stage sank.
Yeah.
Kids in bin bags stamping around through just trenches, and when it rains in your face the whole time, you feel like you have to frown. You spend the whole day frowning. Spend the whole day frowning, you know. Not good.
I was doing a stall here, and the field was draining off down through the stall. So we dug with adjoining people a trench. And I was sitting there thinking, this is a very, very middle-class festival, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. And just then, an extremely pretty young girl came up, vomited in our trench and walked away. And I thought, well, maybe it is a festival.
I was always surprised that it never would dissuade people from getting in the mud pit, the fact that there was already mud everywhere.
We love it when it rains at Garden Party because we're indoors and it means that we're packed.
They're the real fight. They're the bloody fight, like the Battle of the Somme.
2007 Glade Festival was one of the most nuts experiences of my entire life. I mean, we had rivers. We went to the police and said, we can't keep everyone safe on site. And the police said, well, you can't evacuate because the roads are closed, so you've got to keep everyone safe. And that kind of triggered this Dunkirk spirit.
Yeah, I mean, they amount to some very, very tough days in the office. But you do always end up quite proud of the people you're standing shoulder to shoulder with.
It's just that general carnage, but you're all in it together and you kind of just keep going, because what else are you going to do?
Garden Party had a lot of rain as well, but whatever. It's nothing compared to what we had.
In Duff's Bar at 7 o'clock in the morning, there is a Harris fence with blue plastic draped over it. In front of the Harris fence, in the muddy grass, is a paddling pool full of dirty brown water. In that paddling pool is an inflatable champagne bottle, which is just meandering around slowly in the dirty water under the grey skies up against the plastic on the Harris fence. And 5 men stand around with their hands in their pockets, staring at the little inflatable champagne bottle. And I sat there and watched this. I thought, yeah, this is ace. There was something almost Beckett-like about this kind of bleak remnants of something that may have one time been spectacular. Long washed out, dead. Yeah, I fucking love that.
You got to slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down now. You got to slow down.
Oh, the glare of fresh air.
I remember sitting up on this tree watching a stage. I didn't know the guy next to me, but I just sat there and I said, nice. And the guy next to me said, nice. And I said, nice. And he said, nice. And we had went through 30 different nices. It's really funny. And then he walked off and I never talked to him again. And then 6 months later, I met him and I realized that was Vito. First time I met him, yeah.
Oh, really? He just loved that lifestyle of being out with people, being fun and energetic.
20 minutes ago, you were looking like Father Christmas. Now you're, Dr. Zeus or whatever.
The tragedy was this, the yin and the yang. He did suffer from depression.
We definitely saw eye to eye on the world.
The festival draw was the party draw, the creativity, that suspended reality, that escapism drew him in too much.
I knew he was struggling a little bit with the festival scene, and I didn't know how much.
But you never know, do you? Yeah.
I was meant to call him, and then the week later, I heard the news.
Like everyone, we probably all thought, oh God, we should have said something, done something, or gone down, or helped.
It's all very well if you pronounce all these great intentions under the black light, but when the house lights come on and you need to actually follow through and make all of that real, otherwise it's all bullshit.
Calm came through Freddie. I think until Vito died, I had absolutely no comprehension of the suicide rates in men being quite so high and quite such an issue.
The campaign against living miserably is, for us, an obvious ally. Well, it started with Eddie Temple Morris, who first mentioned it and introduced it to me. It fitted our ethos of responsibility.
At Calm, we believe you can't have a great festival without tea. So come say hi at this year's Secret Garden party.
We started giving them space for interactive art pieces that gave people an opportunity to open up, engage, acknowledge maybe some of the things that they carried themselves.
I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups, well, they can happen to you.
Bizarrely, at the time that he died, he was at his strongest. Now I know, quite often the case, when someone has made that conscious decision, they're like at their happiest, clearest, most cognate stage.
You need to take care of each other.
Waiting around for the phone to ring, ding-a-ling-a-ling, ring, ding-a-ling.
One thing I've learnt is to just try to listen a little bit more to that niggling little voice. When someone pops in your head a couple of times, just call them. Yeah.
Well, you've probably been told about his firework finale.
His sister got in touch. He'd asked whether his ashes could be scattered at the garden party or some such.
He suggested a rather Hunter S. Thompson-style firework display.
Nothing would give him greater pleasure than to know that we'd done the nearest equivalent we possibly could.
Seeing Vito's firework go up, that was great. He would have just loved that. He would have just loved the sheer silliness of it, of sending someone's ashes up in a firework and going, pew! Perfect. Absolutely bang on.
But I just miss him madly.
Friendships that you made here would gravitate out into your real life.
You wouldn't get that love, and support and people being that open anywhere else.
You know, I met the mother of my child here. I think we probably made that child here, I think.
When you've got that many people projecting that amount of love, it's very overwhelming.
Will you marry me? Fucking yes!
The amount of relationships and friendships and businesses and skills and careers that were kind of born here make it like just one of those really, really special places for a really big crew of friends. Then maybe that weird kind of, you know, naked ping pong tent that they made becomes like, you know, takes over the world as crazy international business.
Secret Garden ending is a sad chapter.
The last dance and the last party, everyone was just crying.
There will be people who will remember Secret Garden as a place where they first fell in love. There will be people there who remember it for the wild shag that they had.
I've got laid quite a lot at Secret Garden parties, so I've got to thank it just for that.
Why are you stopping it? Why not keep doing it? One of the reasons we didn't fight on is we never wanted to be that festival that wasn't as good as it used to be. We'd always said we'd pull it if we got to that point.
Secret Garden created a model which I truly believe, if you look around the world, lots of people are doing that.
Festivals had a certain format, and then Secret Garden came along, and that format changed.
More and more festivals are now selling tickets because of the production and the non-music entertainment rather than those big headliners.
That worked until I think what we were doing then became part of the norm. I think times have changed. There certainly wasn't Facebook, there wasn't YouTube, and then all the rest. The currency of how you presented your life online, and that being mainly photos, took a massive role in people's lives. I think an event like ours was such a rich backdrop. That was certainly a plus for us, but I don't think we credited that we were losing control of how we were presenting ourselves. We were getting accusations of having sold out. It was, you know, diametrically opposite online. People going, that's brilliant, we love you guys, or that's awful, you're a bunch of tossers. You've become a bucket list event, a sort of Festival Republic machine where you're just trying to churn out what's popular rather than help create what's popular.
This was exactly the right move. Rather than slip into some kind of obscurity.
Yeah, the horse wasn't lame, but shoot it anyway.
The garden, man. Long live the garden.
Going out with a bang was always going to be preferable.